Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about a slightly different concept. We're going to be talking about money management, and a very simplistic formula to grow your wealth exponentially. Before we get started, I want to talk about a big misconception, if you will, around money and why some people become rich and wealthy and some live paycheck to paycheck their entire lives. And ultimately...
I'm so sorry, I forgot I was here.
It's not what many people think, which is people who become rich and wealthy are greedy and scam others, or maybe have really high paying jobs off the backs of labor workers. And although for some people like the billionaires this may apply, for the general wealthy community, this is not how money works. What separates very frequently the rich from the poor is just financial literacy and understanding how money works. In order to get more money, you always have to initially get some money. You have to get capital, right? So the first step you're going to have is acquire capital. Now what does that mean? That's really just getting money, a paycheck, whether it's from a job, from a business you have, maybe you're a freelancer. However it is that you make money, the first step you want is to acquire capital. So acquiring capital is not a step that you can skip. Ultimately, whoever you are, whatever you do for a living, whatever lifestyle that you are living or want to elevate to be living in, you have to acquire capital. You have to get a job, make a business, you have to make money somehow. Now the big difference between these two groups that we've been talking about is that the people who often end up living paycheck to paycheck are making capital and ultimately just spending that capital on their expenses. What we want to be doing is money management, which means understanding where money's coming in from, how much of it we're spending, and making our money work for us instead of us working for our money. So how is this done? You know, traditionally, investments, I'm going to be talking a lot about investments in this video, that's mainly how you get your money to work for you. Obviously, you're not going to be able to acquire investments, acquire assets without that initial capital, so that is why it's the first step and it's the most important vital step that we cannot skip. Now, once we've acquired our capital, the next step is to acquire assets. What are assets? Well, assets are things that are going to be producing wealth for us. It is how we're going to get our money to be working for us, making our money create more money. Some examples of these assets are, and again, these are just examples, there are infinite number of things that you can put your money in to make it work for you. Some examples could be, you know, real estate, that's pretty simple. Get you that passive income coming in. Whether it's the stock market, crypto market, any type of financial markets. Or perhaps you have a business you can put your money into and create assets there, which will ultimately be producing more wealth for you. The goal here is that you want to be working for some time, creating this capital for yourself, working for some time, and then once you have built up this capital, we will be structuring it, kind of building on to our assets until our money is producing more than we are gaining from our work and our time. So now say you've acquired your capital. For this example, we'll be using real estate as our working example here. You have saved up 25 grand on the side from your job. You've allocated some towards expenses, you've paid off your bills, but you've also created this fund in order to funnel it into your assets that are going to produce your wealth for you. You have your 25K, again, real estate as an example, you put that money as a down payment on a rental property. Now what does this give us? Every month this rental property, you're paying a mortgage, you're paying any other associated fees you have with it. So now this asset, this rental property is still costing you money, but here's why this is important. At the same time as it's costing you money, you're going to have renters here. You're going to have people paying the rent, paying all their fees. They're going to be producing wealth for you. This wealth will ultimately and always be higher than this one. Meaning that every month, or however your assets work, whether it's not real estate, you will be getting passive income, meaning say you're paying $1,000 a month to manage, keep up with your rental property. Your renters, however, are paying you $1.5 grand each month. Now at the end of each month, you have $500 net profit from you doing absolutely nothing by just acquiring this asset. Say a year goes by, now it's $500 times 12. Now you have an extra $6,000 you made from your one rental property. You didn't do any work for this past acquiring it. This money was now working for you, bringing in passive income for you. So now the year ends and you have an extra $6,000 sitting in your bank account that you've made passively. At the same time, you're still acquiring capital from your job. At the end of this year, instead of $25,000, say you have $31,000 sitting. What are you going to do this time? You're going to take that, get a new rental property. Again, you're going to have fees, you're going to have renters. This money is going to be greater than that. At the end of this year, now instead of an extra $6,000, now you have maybe an extra $15,000 that you're getting. So I think you guys are kind of getting the picture of what's going to happen here. Is over time, what you're going to do is you're going to keep acquiring assets, and with the profit that you get from your assets, not simply from your capital, you're going to get more and more assets that bring you passive income. Passive income is when your money works for you. Your money is bringing in wealth for you instead of you trading your time for wealth. So now 1 year goes by, you have one rental property. 2 years goes by, you have two. 3 years, you have three. And you keep scaling this up until the profit and the passive income that you receive from your investments, from your assets, is now significantly larger than the capital that you get from your job. At this point, this is where many people retire, and why you see so many people retire at 25, 30, 35, 40, is because they spent a lot of their time and their capital acquiring assets that are later in life going to produce more wealth for them. So very simply, the steps are acquire capital, acquire assets, and 3, you use the profit from your assets to get more assets. This is a very simple strategy. It's a very simple formula, and it doesn't have to be real estate. It could be the stock market, it could be a business, it could be really cars, anything that you want. And I'll dive into other types of investments and assets in later videos. That ultimately, if you just follow this 3-step formula over time, over several years, and maybe even it won't take years. For some people, it takes just a few months to really get the hang of it and truly retire. So this is just a very simple crash course on how to get your money to work for you. But remember that this isn't just a get-rich-quick scheme. This isn't just, you can just buy this one thing and retire forever. It is a process. It is almost like a business that you are building. You have to put time into it. You have to budget. You're going to often, at the beginning, have to make lots of budget cuts for maybe expenses that you have, which you don't really need, because you're prioritizing building these assets for yourself that are later going to pay off tremendously.